Hey, everybody. Happy Wednesday night. We're back with another trip report. And today we're headed to Disneyland. And I'm excited because I'm headed to Disneyland less than 3 weeks. I'm going all the way out to Disneyland for 3 days.
Yeah, it's worth it.
It is worth it. I'm so in love with Disneyland. I am so excited. Oh my gosh, I can't wait. They're going to show us all the new stuff for Disney 100. We get like the new
Awesome.
parade. They do. They're showing us some food and wine festival at California Adventure.
Nice. Yeah,
Never
that
done that.
started like days after I left.
Yeah, I'm all about that. I'm your man if it comes to snacking. Sampling food. I'm like, sign me
Mhm.
up. Book my flight. So yeah, that'll be fun to talk about. That's the end of the month.
Mm.
All right, so this will be Monday's show. Monday, let's see. I don't have anything on Monday. No holiday that I can think of. We're changing the clocks. That's
No
the one.
way.
This is always the show. I got to remember because I schedule the publishing, then I
Mm.
got to remember to change it because like the last 6 months I put for us it's 20 o'clock because
Mm. Mm.
that's the time zone we're in. But yeah, I can remember. So it'll be 19 o'clock. I'll
Okay.
probably still forget it and I'll go out the wrong time. So like, is there not a show? Because people check, right? If it's not 5 minutes there, "Oh,
Wow.
you show.
That's
Oh yeah.
impressive.
Oh yeah. People let me know. I'm like, nope, time change, or else it comes out, way like an hour early, like bonus. I didn't know. All right, here we go. 2251. Gotta name it. Welcome to episode 2251 of the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Rallman from BeOurGuestPodcast.com and one of the senior agents over at the Magic for Less Travel. Happy Monday to you. Hope you had a great weekend and lots of basketball. If you're a basketball fan, the conference tournaments were this weekend, and we had the reveal of the big dance, the teams. Hopefully your team is dancing. My Mizzou Tigers are, so I'm excited for that. It's been quite a while. So you get to hear some updates here for MIZ here on the Be Our Guest podcast. Hopefully for more than one weekend, but we'll see. I'm a Mizzou fan. I'm very hopeful, but I'm very realistic. This ride probably won't last long, but we'll see. But hopefully you enjoyed the extra hour of daylight this weekend. We got to change our clocks. Where's that extra hour of sleep? I don't know. It disappeared. But we're going to bring you a great trip report to get this week started the right way. And we're going to have a friend back on the show. She's been here before and we're going to talk some Disneyland, which you guys know how I feel about Disneyland. I fell in love with it last July and can't get enough. Jenna is joining us from out in Washington State. Jenna, thanks for coming on the show today. How you doing?
Awesome. Yes, thank you for having me. I'm sorry I'm no Scotty G when it comes to the sports chat at the top of the show. I've got nothing.
Well, I mean, Scotty G, he lays it on. He's the Big Ten correspondent, so I'm the
Yeah,
SEC
you
guy.
did.
So at least everybody will be like, okay, good. I'm spared on a Monday. Don't have to hear about the, Sparty and Mizzou stuff. So we can just jump right into Disney. But
Yes.
you've been on the show before and we've kind of given your backstory, but I know you're joining us on the Be Our Guest podcast cruise here in July. So
Yes.
how excited are you for that? What are you most excited for the Disney Wish?
Oh, wow. I mean, we've never done a cruise as a family. I went as a child and once with my husband, but this will be the first time for the kids. It'll be our first Disney cruise. So I feel like I'm excited for everything. Like, it's not like, oh, there's new restaurants. Like, everything's new. So uh, I'm excited for everything. I guess Castaway Cay. Um, yeah, the restaurants, they sound so interesting with the shows. Yeah,
It's
exciting. And it's our first time even going to Walt Disney World. So, like, everything. Like, I was saying for the entire trip, everything's new.
yeah, that's kind of the cherry on top of the cake. Going to Walt Disney World for the first time, cruising
Yeah.
Disney cruise, and it's my
Yeah.
first time on the Wish. Pam's
Yeah.
been on it, so she'll be the expert to kind of show everybody around and give some advice there. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm excited because this ship is different than the fantasy, the dream, the magic, and the wonder, and
Mhm.
I'm just excited because the way I'm looking at it is there'll be similarities to the
Mhm.
other ships. Obviously it's Disney Cruise Line; they have a certain way of doing things. But I
Mhm.
kind of see it as when I went to Disneyland last summer, right? It was I'm still on a high,
Mhm.
8 months later because I really enjoyed it because I felt like I was comfortable there. Even
Mhm.
as I walked down Main Street, like, okay,
Yeah.
this feels right. Like I feel like I've been here, but everything was discovery. You know, like
Mm-hmm.
I had been there, but I hadn't. Everything was kind of the same, but like there's a big mountain right there, in the
Right.
corner off to the right, at 2 o'clock.
Yep.
What's that all about? And then you see Small World looks so different. It's
Mhm.
beautiful, and the train's going by. I'm like, oh my god, could that be any more beautiful? So I think that's kind of what it's going to be for me. It's
Mhm.
new but comfortable, and I think the
Mhm.
same will be for you because you're a Disney fan. You have lots of background.
Yeah, watch all the videos. So yeah, I think it'll be similar. It'll be very, very new for my kids. So I'm excited for that.
What are the kids saying? I like to, I used to be a teacher, so I'm sure they're excited for the cruise. I mean, is there anything that if they've been watching videos? I'm curious how kids get excited for like a big vacation like this, going to Florida across country.
They're kind of spoiled. The that documentary, The Making of the Wish, hit
Mhm.
Disney Plus, and I was like, kids, I have a thing I want us to watch together, The Making of the Wish. My daughter said, Mom, we've already watched it. I was like, no, it's not a YouTube video. Like, it's different, because I keep showing them, like, watch this about the wish and this about the wish. So they're not as excited as mommy. I did buy them a book, like one of those kids burn bombs guides.
Mhm.
So I'm hoping that they'll read that and get excited, because it's so different than Disneyland. Like, there's just so much more. So I'm hoping they'll read it and get excited. And then my older daughter is just like worried that there's not enough lifeboats. I don't know. Their school must talk about Titanic too much. At Disneyland, actually, I don't know if you saw it at the Disneyland Hotel. If you go out the doors to the right of the shop, the Fantasia shop, there's a model of one of the ships in like a
Mhm.
glass
Yeah.
box.
Yeah.
And my middle child was literally counting the lifeboats. And she said, Mommy, there's only 8. And I was like, no, no, no. So I don't know.
Okay, so I'm going to call your daughter Rose on the cruise from Titanic because she was the one that was counting the lifeboats in the movie. She is now officially Rose, and
Yes.
yeah, not quite enough.
Yeah.
Did
I was
not.
like, guys, they learned their lesson. I'm pretty sure. Like, that was 100 years ago. Like, so
But
that was kind of entertaining.
very few icebergs in the Bahamas too, so we're
Yes, yes,
pretty
yes.
good there. I mean, or you try to rest easy on that one, but you got to love a kid. I mean, that's awesome. No,
No,
and
it's very
when
funny.
you said the Burn Bombs guide, man, that melts my heart because
Yeah.
my youngest is 15 now,
Mhm.
and back when Paige was, she's 26. But when we used to first start going, every year we buy her the new Kids Burn Bombs guide,
Yeah.
and she would dog ear that thing.
Yeah.
And I liked it. I don't know if it still is because I haven't bought one in quite a long time, but
Mhm.
it had like little interactive, like fill in the blanks, like,
Yeah.
what I want to do or what you could actually take it on the trip and, fill in
Yeah.
memories as you go. Is it still that
Yeah,
way?
it's still that way, and I hope that they do it, because I bought them one for Disneyland, but it was for our second trip, and so they were like, Psh, I'm not doing, like, I already know everything. So I'm really hoping I can get them, because that's what I did. I went to Disney World only once as a child and never to Disneyland, and I was 8, and yeah, I knew every single thing that I wanted to do, and like devoured that book. So yeah, we'll see what happens. I just ordered it. It's shipping from Amazon shortly.
That's awesome. Should get to you quickly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it should.
that's really good. Yeah, and now that I think about that, I wish I could go back and find those books. They gotta
Oh,
be here in the like, packed away somewhere, but,
oh, that'd be
that was
special.
probably that was probably like, 2011, 2010, something like that, and it'd just be fun to see, like, what
Yeah,
she was excited about back then. Oh my
yeah,
god, great memory.
yeah.
Great stuff. Okay, well, let's talk about your Disneyland trip. You guys went just recently, just last
Mhm,
month,
mhm.
and, you guys kinda Disneyland veterans, so how did this trip come together, and when did you go?
Oh, so this trip was supposed it's not a COVID reschedule, but it's a reschedule. So it was supposed to be
Anything goes.
September 2022. So this is sort of a bizarre story, but I think I may have talked about it last time, but my mom passed away when I was 14. And every year on the anniversary of when she died, we try to make it like something special to remember her. And we've called it Eat Ice Cream Day, because my mom liked ice cream. And so we were going to go for Eat Ice Cream Day in September. But then my husband got a job with the schools. And so now we are stuck locked on the school schedule.
Yeah.
And I feel your pain now.
Those
So we had
educators,
to move
man.
it to
Yeah,
a
I hear
break.
you. Yeah,
Yeah.
terrible.
So it got
I'm
moved. And
I'm
it
with
was,
one of
I
those
mean,
too.
parts of it were terrible. We'll get to that. But so we moved it to February. And we did it 6 days, 5 nights at the Disneyland Hotel. And yeah, did it right over the spring break week. So that was kind of how it came together.
So now you'd stayed at the Disneyland Hotel prior, right? This wasn't your first time
Yeah,
there?
my somewhat spoiled children have only stayed there, and when I suggested staying at a neighboring hotel, they were like, "Absolutely not."
Yeah, no, I'm with your kids. I mean, Disneyland Hotel, but because I mean,
'Cause
I'm going out in, for this media thing at the end of the
yeah,
month. First thing I asked Pam, she's like, "Well, can you go to that thing?" I'm like, "Well, yeah, I can go." I'm like, "But like, where are we staying?" She's like,
yeah,
"Well, to the Disneyland Hotel at the Grand Californian." I'm like, "Okay,
yeah,
I'm buying my plane tickets right now."
yeah,
And it's the Disneyland Hotel, so I'm like, "Rock on!" Because I just love it.
yeah,
It feels just it's everything I want in
yeah,
an old
yeah.
fashioned. I feel like Walt's there. Like I could go around the corner and just see Walt, at any point.
And now that they've stayed there, that's their 3rd time, 4th time? 3rd or oh my gosh, it's their 4th time. And so for them, it feels like home, like, that's where they wanna stay. My daughter knows her way around the property, so we're kinda toast, I think. And the new villas that just opened,
Right. Oh,
they're opening on Eat Ice Cream Day next year. So I was like, "Caleb, it's like a sign from my mommy in heaven that we need to buy DVC at Disneyland."
it must be. And you got to have a big old
Right.
gallon of ice cream in the
That's
grand villa.
right,
You know what I
in
mean?
our, like, 3-bedroom villa. Yeah,
Exactly.
it's probably not
Condo.
gonna happen, but
I
that's what
love
I
that,
thought
and I
when I
love
saw the
ice cream.
website.
I'll buy a plane ticket. I'll meet you guys out there.
Oh, yeah.
With Scotty G, he's actually bringing that up because he turns the big 40 this fall, and he's like, and he is DVC already, so
I
he's already eyeballing.
know.
Because as
Yeah.
soon as they released those pictures a couple weeks back,
Oh, yeah.
the first thing I did, that's because we were out there in July, and of course the tower was being built. It was
Yep.
probably about halfway at that point.
Mhm.
Still there. This is just the exterior and stuff,
Yeah.
and we're daydreaming about. Well, I wonder what it's going to look like on the inside.
Mhm,
'Cause it's
mhm.
pretty new. It's brand new,
Yeah.
and we saw those the pictures and stuff, and I immediately texted this guy like, "Scott, you gotta make this happen, dude. I'll help you." Let's go.
Yes, I know, it was so beautiful. I was asking them while I was there. So when we were there, we saw it. The exterior was still scaffolded, but the workers told us they hadn't seen anyone on it in months, so they knew they were inside. So it's almost done. And I was like, "Do you know when they're gonna start selling the DVC?"
Yeah,
They
no
said,
kidding.
"No, we don't know." And I was like, "That's okay. I don't have money anyways." But alas.
I know. I mean, it's Disney dreaming, right? That's what we always
Exactly.
do. So,
Exactly.
someday. I mean, I got to Disneyland after, like, 3 decades, so it'll probably
Yeah,
take
you
me 3
never
more to
know.
get into that tower.
Yep.
Frontierland Tower is good enough for me right now. I'll take it. So,
Oh, absolutely.
anyway, so tell us about real quick, just so people don't know, like, you're coming from Washington State. How quick is travel? Is it pretty easy from the Pacific Northwest?
Yeah, so it should be easy, but we went on spring break and that was dumb. So we got to the airport like 2 hours, 2.5 hours early, like we normally do. And the line for security was longer than anything we saw at Disneyland. And so, just like at Disneyland, we were snaking and then we thought we were there and they sent you through a little door to more snaking. And
No.
at that point, our plane was boarding in 6 minutes. And so we were like, we are going to miss our plane. And the kids are stressing. I was stressing. So my husband went to the desk for our airline and they escorted us past the second set of security lines up to the front. And so we made the plane, but when we got to the gate, it was totally empty. Like the whole plane was boarded already. So it got off to kind of a scary start, but it's only 2.5 hours down there. So that's really nice. That's why we go and haven't been to
Yeah.
World because World is like 6. Um, so yeah, we got there. And then that day we got in pretty early. We were in by about 10 o'clock. So we just took a lift to the hotel, straight to the hotel. We gave the bags to the bellhop, and then we went to check in. And we checked in. They said, "Oh, your room's already ready." And I was like, "Oh, didn't see that coming. Already dropped my bags." Was
Nice.
so ready to go. So we checked in, and then we went and had lunch at Blue Bayou.
Oh man, you're starting it off like that's how we ended our trip. Like we
Yeah,
saved it for the very end, because you can't hardly beat that. I mean, I couldn't
yeah.
beat it. I thought that was the greatest thing
Oh,
ever.
no, we absolutely love it, and we haven't been able to get reservations the last 2 times, so that's what I did. I got a reservation. I thought, after the early morning and the flight, it'll be nice to have a proper meal, so we went there
Yes,
for lunch. The kids love that. It's so enchanting that it
it
looks like
is.
nighttime. The
Ah,
pictures always throw me off because 'cause I'm like, "Wait, it's night? Oh, no, wait, that was lunch."
yeah.
Um, so that was fun. So we did that, and then I asked if they had any dining packages available for Fantasmic because that's what I've been trying to book, and they weren't on the app. And they said they did. So we got off the Price Fix menu and got 5 tickets for the Fantasmic dining that evening, like to get the special viewing. So that's what we did.
Very nice. And for folks that don't know, I love that I know this stuff now because I've been there. I feel like I'm expert. I've been one time.
Yeah.
But Phantasmic at Disneyland is so awesome. Like it is just the pirate ship. That's all I gotta say. Pirate ship. And you haven't seen the one in
No,
Florida.
there's no pirate ship?
No, there's no pirate ship, but
Oh,
it's awesome in its own way at the
yeah.
studios because you have a stadium that's built
Yeah.
for it. You're sitting down, it's super
Oh, that's
comfortable,
nice.
and I mean, it's got a great stage.
Mhm.
They're different. They're I
Yeah.
don't know if one's better than the other, but like Scott set me up. Okay, and the spoiler. This can be a spoiler for everybody. This is like from our trip. So
Okay.
we're sitting there watching. I mean, everything is like I'm just a kid in a candy store for like 5 straight days. Like everything we did, I was just smart. Bobsleds didn't care, like almost killed me, but I just kept going on. Like probably made me, like my back got so screwed. I didn't care. I just got right. It didn't matter. Like we jammed 7 of us into one of those Casey Jr.'s cars. I didn't care. Like it wasn't good, but it was fun. It was the best.
Mhm.
We were watching Phantasmic, and Sucker knew this was coming, but he
Yeah.
didn't tell me, right? The big cannon on the pirate ship. Because
Oh,
you're standing where you couldn't really see it rolling out. And I was like, boom, that cannon goes off. My knees buckled. Because I didn't know it was coming. My
so
heart
funny.
stopped. I was like,
What is
oh,
that?
he was laughing so hard because he was standing behind me just waiting
Yeah.
for it to happen. I had no idea it was coming.
That's
Then
so
like,
cute.
once it brought me back to life, I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. There's pirates fighting on the ship right in front of
I
me.
know.
It's like Pirates of the Caribbean. Yeah,
Yes.
so it was awesome. But yeah, so real quick though, Dee's asking if you can walk easily to the park entrance from the Disneyland Hotel. She's joining us live on Facebook.
Oh, yes.
Absolutely. 5-minute
Yes.
walk to and then you go to the Esplanade and you go to both
Mhm.
parks. Right or left.
Yeah.
Wherever you go.
It's super easy, and it's really, really easy if you want to take the monorail. So
Yep.
there's a monorail almost exactly from Disneyland Hotel, like just steps away, and it takes you into Tomorrowland. So that's what we did a lot.
That monorail's tricky though, because if you're somebody that grew up at World like I did,
Yeah.
that monorail is small.
Oh, it is. I don't
feel
know
like
any
I'm
of
in,
these things.
I feel like I'm in a miniature or something. It makes me feel like I'm the Jolly Green Giant when I'm in that Disneyland monorail because it's
Oh,
tight. Because the monorail in Florida is like the size of like it's like the size of a bus. I mean, you easily stand and have clearance.
oh, okay. That'll be very different. That's
Wait till you
cool.
ride. Yeah, it'd be like riding in a limo. It's
Oh, neat.
it's
Okay,
so
that's
great.
great.
I was like, woo, this baby's tight. This is
It is
1950s
small.
model. This thing's little. Anyway, so go ahead. So you guys start off with Blue Bayou. So then what else happened?
Yeah, so we did Blue Bayou, and then we got a popcorn bucket, and then we didn't do very many rides at all. So we just did the carousel, and I think maybe one other little ride for my son because he's only 3. Uh, and then we just went back to the hotel. We were pretty tuckered at that point, and the crowds were kind of insane. So it was that was the Sunday of President's Weekend, and
Ooh.
I'd never seen it like that. So it was pretty brutal. And we'd only ever gone, every other time we've gone, we've pulled the kids out of school at a very deliberate, like late January or sometime where there's no one. So we had just never seen a park like this before. So we did a few short rides and then took the monorail, which was nice, back for some swimming. And then we went back for Phantasmic. And to bring some reality into the magic, it was not the greatest day. Like we almost missed our flight, which stressed the kids, all of us, I guess. And then I just desperately wanted to see Phantasmic. So they had never seen it. And I saw it when I went for a solo trip for 3 days with my girlfriends. And I was like, this is amazing. I can't wait to show the kids. I'm going to pay like $400 for 5 of us to eat at Blue Bayou just to get the perfect seats. So we got the perfect seats. And I had 3 exhausted children, a 3-year-old who was terrified. And then a 4-year, my middle kid was also kind of scared. And my husband spent the whole thing holding my son, trying to block his ears and eyes so he wouldn't be screaming. So my husband didn't like it, and my son didn't like it. The one kid was like asleep, and one of them kind of was like, yeah, that's cool. I was like, what? Like, and so I was like, mommy was grumpy, and the kids were overtired. And you always say on the show, like, not to pressure the kids and to just go with it. But I had this thing in my mind, like we were going to see Phantasmic. And that was the only day we had a Blue Bayou reservation. So I was like, this is the only evening we can see it with a good view. And we must see it with a good view. So I don't care that you're all tired. We're going was kind of my attitude. And it backfired.
But we all do that. I mean, that's the thing is every Disney fan has probably done that. And the thing is you've done that and you probably do it again and again. And again, because you think, okay, we can still, like, okay, that happened 2 years ago.
Right. It's different now. We're older now.
Yes, it will. Because the thing is, there's not that much difference between a 15-year-old and a 2-year-old, like as far as crabbiness and like that kind of stuff. Like, you're tired from travel, a 15-year-old, 2-year-old, same thing. Like they'll be crabby and I mean, there's no difference. If you're a parent, Well, Ricky,
Yes.
you ready?
So yeah, exactly. I know. I'm taking like mean pleasure in Ricky and picturing her not sleeping. We're
Seriously,
really happy for
no,
you.
me too. She has been able to sleep in for her whole life, and
Yeah.
she always just rubs it in my face. I'm like, Ricky, right now, hopefully, right now, she doesn't know if it's 3:12 a.m. or p.m. Right? She's in that state right now. These
Yes,
first
that
few
poor
weeks,
woman.
I remember like Game Show Network was on our TV 24 hours a day, and I didn't know if it was
Nope.
Tuesday, Friday, Saturday,
Yep.
Sunday. I didn't know AM or
Doesn't
PM.
matter.
It didn't
Yep.
matter. Yep, that's what she
Yep.
is.
I remember that. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
So I mean, the first day you get there, you kind
It
of
was
push
a
your
rocky
luck.
start. It was a
Well,
rocky start.
but hopefully it got. Did you guys go California Adventure the next day? Rehearsal, or what'd you
So
do?
the next day, the next day we went first. We went pin trading. So my kids love pin trading, and then yeah, we went to California Adventure. We did the my daughter's favorite ride is the Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout.
Wow.
So we did that, and it was so this the next day was President's Day, and it was a 90-minute wait. And that was rough. I mean, I don't know if I'm just like a baby because I've been spoiled, but we met up with our local friends who have annual passes, and they have lived there, been going for years, and they said they've never seen it like this. So I was like, oh no. So we didn't stay that long, and then we bounced and went back to the pool again. Because I mean, the Disneyland hotel is not exactly a bad place to have to spend your time. So
Yeah.
we were like, oh, forget this. We'll go back to the hotel.
And here's the thing I didn't know about the Disneyland Hotel until we stay there this past July is that for me, the comparison for a Walt Disney World fan, and this is a weird comparison until you've been there, is the Disneyland Hotel feels like the Polynesian. And when you
Mm,
look at pictures of the Disneyland Hotel, because it's got towers, right? It looks like a kind of
yeah.
an industrial, like it looks like a Marriott, or like physically it looks like a Marriott or a Hilton or something like
Yeah.
that. The building, but that inner courtyard with
Yes.
the pool and the monorail slide.
Yeah.
Then you have Trader Sam's in
Yep.
there, and you have Tangaroa Terrace.
Yeah.
You got all these palm trees. It has very much a
Yeah.
Polynesian vibe from Walt
Yeah.
Disney World, which that totally blew me away because the aesthetic of the buildings don't lend
Yes.
itself to the Polynesian feel. But when you're in the pool, like in that pool deck,
Yeah.
oh, I just wanted to be there. Like that was
No, the
just
pool, we love the pool. Our kids love to swim. We're Canadian, so they're like, it's 50 degrees. Why wouldn't we be in a pool? Okay. So they were happy to swim. And then we always get some Dole Whip. So we swam and got Dole Whip. And then we went back in the evening because we had reservations at Lamplight Lounge. So then we
So
went back.
tell me about that because I didn't get to go there. Scott went there with his wife. We were doing something else. Other than that, we went to the Dodgers game. And
Oh,
he raves about that place, but that was
yeah.
just last night. So I had to go to a Dodgers game when I was in Southern California. So
Yes.
what was that? Hopefully it was a better experience.
Yes, it's our one of our favorite places. I mean, probably our favorite place to eat in California Adventure. It's so beautiful. Both times we've lucked out and got seated on the water side, like right on the edge of the water. So you see, Mickey's Fun Wheel, and you see the Incredicoaster, and it's the whole. I mean, Disney does theming so well, but the whole place is so neat with toys and drawings, and the coasters have sketches of original characters, and the kids meal teaches them how to draw cartoons, and so my kids all were practicing their drawing, and yeah, it's super fun. We love the lobster nachos. You can get some homemade donuts, but they're not as good as the Mickey beignets. But it's just lovely. We had a lovely time there.
I'll take my chances on either, Mickey.
Yeah, I was like, we will still
I
order
mean,
them.
yeah, homemade donuts. I mean,
They're still
come on.
donuts.
I'll
Yes.
try.
Yeah. And
That's
actually, our family was kind of having a debrief of the trip, and most people said that their favorite part of the trip was all of our sit down meals. They really liked just getting to sit down and be in the atmosphere and talk to each other. So that was, I think, a highlight of the trip, actually.
That's for me too. It's for me. It's the sit down meals, and it's
Mhm.
honestly, and it sounds strange to say this because it wasn't this way when I started the show, but it's the resort
Mhm.
time.
Yeah.
It's like going back and staying at Coronado, going to the dig site pool, or
Yeah.
just hanging out at Old Key West with Scott
Mhm.
staying there. It's the rides and everything are awesome. Don't get me wrong, because that's kind of what gets you there.
Yeah,
But once you've done them a bunch of times, it's more just kind of the atmosphere you can
definitely.
be with your family and friends, which I've
Yeah.
heard is kind of nice.
No, I totally agree.
So now your kids, if you had to guess, because I
Mhm.
obviously there's probably not a right or wrong answer about this, but like
Yeah.
California Adventure, Disneyland.
Mm.
Scott says California Adventure is his favorite Disney theme park of all of them.
Yeah.
Disneyland, any of the world ones.
Yeah.
What about your kids? I mean, if they had to pick one or the other, would they go California Adventure over Disneyland?
I think my son might pick California Adventure because he loves Spider-Man. So the Marvel universe is really fun. Oh, and he loves cars. Oh my goodness, he
Oh,
loves
Cars
cars.
Land is the greatest. I didn't
So
do Spider-Man, but yeah, Cars Land, I was just
yeah,
like, this can't be any cooler.
yeah, that place is amazing. And so we did meet Lightning McQueen and we met Mater.
Yeah.
So that was amazing. So I think my son would pick that, and I think my girls, I think they probably like. I think they would be torn. I thought my daughters would pick California because they like the thrill rides, but then they were like, "Oh, but Disneyland, like so classic Main
Mhm.
Street, like just like a grown up, you know." So they feel a little torn.
They're trying to be like their mom. You know, they
Yeah.
gotta it's it's like I swear, Mallory and Paige kinda they have to have a little, but I love Fantasyland. Like you don't
Yeah.
have to just because I like that stuff. Like you don't have to like the Carousel of Progress and the people. Well, yeah, you do because I
Yeah,
mean,
well, they love Matterhorn, they love Space Mountain, they love Star Wars Land. So they love Splash Mountain. Oh my gosh. We'll get to that, but there was a lot of Splash Mountain because
I
it's
didn't
still
do it.
open at
Yeah, I know.
Disneyland.
You guys have it still. We don't. Obviously, don't tell them. I hope they're not looking forward to it in Florida because it's gone.
Yeah.
But so the thing though about Splash Mountain is I didn't do it when I was in Disneyland, and it's because Scott kept telling me how wet you get.
Yeah.
And I do not like going through the theme park wet. Like
No.
I don't like it. Like I can get a little, and I'm such a baby here, right? You're talking about your 2-year-old. I'm the 2-year-old now. I don't like going around like wet socks and shoes and like
Yeah.
short. I just like no thanks. Like I'm old enough. I bet
No.
it's a kind of different experience. The logs are different and stuff. But I was like,
Yeah.
nah. I'll go to
Well, now
Hungry Bear and get a chicken sandwich.
my good kids are 8 and 10, so they can go without an adult. So
Yeah,
they
that's
did, and they
unreal.
wrote it repeatedly. It was, I think, like 54 degrees and raining,
Oh
and
man,
they wrote,
no.
I know, I was like,
Okay.
absolutely not. So they went on it, and they really. That's actually one of my favorite photos. It's just them in the log because they were like, "There's nobody on it, mommy." I was like, "Yeah, no shocker there." So I got this great photo of them in the log, just like,
No, you get it all to yourself. Everybody
yeah,
else like,
yeah, it
nah.
was really cute.
It was probably real popular, last week when it was snowing.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. I think it snowed like 2 days after we left or something. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, how nuts was that?
Mhm.
Yeah. I saw everybody, the Californians, right? They're like,
Yes,
"Snow," and
they're all, like,
where I'm from
amazed. It's
yeah,
like
where I'm
nothing.
from, it's like, "Oh my god, please, are we enough with the snow." Like, let's
Yeah.
baseball, it's spring training, like, let's go. Like, we need to
Yes.
cut the grass, let's get to 80, and we get a couple days and it snows again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, so, give us some more highlights, though, from the trip. I mean, so far it sounds so good. It's getting better. It's gaining momentum here.
Yes, so the next day we did a character breakfast, which I really wanted to do as an easy way to see the characters. So we did Storytellers Cafe at Grand Californian.
We did that, and we loved it.
Yes, that was great. That was so much fun. My daughters are really into pin trading, so we met another family too, and who was there, and we actually two other families, and we went to their tables and they pin traded, and then we met everyone. Minnie wasn't there. I think she was under the weather. I was a little bummed, but I don't think anyone else really noticed. But I was like, "Excuse me, where's Minnie?"
Yeah, Manny,
um,
come on, Manny, we're here for you. Like,
yeah,
come on, you
exactly.
gotta
It's
play
like,
through
what?
that injury. Let's go.
What do you mean she's under the weather? Like she's anyways, that was a little weird to me that they couldn't
Yeah.
find her, but that's all right.
Hmm.
We still got some great photos. Oh, and that day I'm such a nerd. I had made us like the matching, like the mommy, little brother t-shirts because I
Nice.
wanted to get some photos. So we also got Genie Plus that day because I wanted the photo pass. So I was like, well, we might as well get that. So that was, according to my kids, that was our first real Disney day, they felt like, because that was the day where we stayed in the park for hours. The other 2 days we left because the crowds were so bad. So this was Tuesday. We did lots. We played with the on the app. I don't know if you've noticed, if you have PhotoPass, I don't know if this is just a Disneyland thing, but there's special lenses where you can take photos. So we
Mhm.
played with those in all the lines. We got lots of silly pictures. We did pretty much everything in Disney California Adventure that day. We rode the Incredicoaster. That took a lot of convincing for my 8-year-old, but she was glad that she did it.
Pretty intense for an 8-year-old. I'll give, that's
Yeah, well, my older one did it when she was 6, I think, because they're pretty tall. So, the 8-year-old had done it before. She did it last year when she was 7. So I was like, come on. And she did like it. So we did that rider swap. So we got they got to ride it twice in a row, which they loved. And we did Spider-Man. We did web slingers. My son loves that one. I have great photos of him with his like web hands and his glasses on, and he's saving the world. And that was fun. And we love doing, and I don't think it gets done enough. We did the drawing. the Animation Academy.
Mhm.
So we did that as well. And that was really fun. So we had a pretty full day that day.
So you know what one of my favorite things to do was at California Adventure, and it was like I don't know, maybe you guys did this, maybe you didn't, because it's so far tucked away. It
Oh,
was the Monsters Inc. ride.
we tried. So we got a lightning lane for that and it went down. And so then we had a lightning lane we could use almost anywhere. But yeah, that's fun.
It
There's a lot of little things in California Adventure that you
right,
don't think about.
right. Like I mean, it's one of those things like you don't go to California to ride that ride, but it was like it was charming.
Yeah,
It almost belongs in it's typical dark. It's like almost like a
yes,
Fantasyland dark ride, but takes
totally.
place in Tomorrowland. Like we did it like 2 or 3 different times. One, it never had a line.
Yeah.
And, it was kinda like a Winnie the Pooh ride, but
Yeah,
it's just fun. Like, I
it is
just kept
fun.
saying, "This is a cool ride." Like, it's
Yeah.
felt special. I love that ride. I love that.
Yeah.
But right, Cars Land, though, for people that have not been out there, I mean, to me, Cars Land is
Mhm.
better than Galaxy's Edge, and that's saying something because 'cause I'm a Star Wars fan, but,
Yeah.
man, Cars Land,
It's amazing.
I can't like, especially when you go back at night, like, we came in from that other entrance, where you
Yeah.
saw the rock work.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's from, like, Pacific Wharf or,
Yep.
whatever they changed the name to, and,
Mhm.
you had all the oranges and the rust colors of the rocks and the lighting and the rides going by on your right, and I was just like, "This couldn't be any more beautiful," and, Route 66 passes through where we live, so it's kind of
Oh.
been, like, ingrained, that kinda culture, the car culture,
Mhm.
but, yeah, I couldn't get enough of that land. That's my favorite
It's
land of
ama
any.
I think it's the most like I am literally here, like I'm actually in Radiator Springs. Because Disney with Galaxy's Edge, they chose to go with something from the canon, but not from one of the
Good point.
exact movies. So you don't get you're like, yeah, I'm in something Star Wars-y, but
Mhm.
I feel like, yeah, Cars Land is amazing. And we actually watched the Cars movie while we were there. And my kids, it didn't dawn on me. They didn't know any of this was real. Like they didn't know Route 66 was an actual road. And so when I
No,
explained
never thought of
that,
that.
and
Yeah,
I was like, this actually happened to small towns. And they were like, oh, so that really like opened it up to a whole nother level for them. It was pretty cute.
yeah, I'll definitely talk to them about that, on the cruise back, yeah, where I live in Missouri, like, it was, Interstate 44 that killed
Yeah.
Route 66,
Oh, really?
and
Yay.
all these little towns,
Yeah.
Eureka and Pacific and all these
Yeah,
little,
whereas when
for
I was
kids, like,
growing up, my
wow.
dad had all these old model cars and we had the Route 66 sign in his pool room, like where he played billiards. So like I had known about all that for years. So that was kind of fun.
That's
We
so
did
cool. Yeah,
enjoy it.
I mean, the kids that I get it. I mean, I would never thought of it that way, but I mean,
Yeah.
like McQueen's fake, Mater's fake.
Right, right.
Why
Yeah,
would
they're
the
like,
road be real? Like, where do we draw this line? That's
yeah.
I love man, you can get deep sometimes when it comes to Disney. Like when you
Yeah.
think about these things, like, where's the line? That was real,
Yeah.
that was fake, what?
I
And the
don't
kids
know.
are
I don't
maybe
know.
smarter than us. I mean, that's all I know. Okay,
My
so give us
son,
some more. Go ahead. Go ahead.
oh, he would ask a lot about what was real. So he's 3. And I didn't want to lie to make it magical because I could tell it was coming out of a place of maybe fear. So whenever we would meet the characters, he would say, "Is that a robot?" I was like, "It's not a robot." And then he would say, "Is it a person?"
I
And then
have no idea what Mater and Lightning McQueen are because that is some weird combo of something.
yeah,
Like
I was like,
I'm almost 50 and I have no idea how that works. To be honest, it's magic in my
yeah.
book.
The
So
cars he was
far, I
okay with.
don't know.
Yeah, the cars he didn't care. It was like Pooh Bear. He's like, "Is it what exactly is this that I'm talking to?" So that was really cute. But yeah, that night things took another turn. So I felt like this would be a good podcast for parents. So my son that afternoon in the parks felt warm, so we took him back to the hotel, and he had a fever of 102.
Oh,
So
no.
now we're like in California. He's sick. Before we left, he'd been on antibiotics for an ear infection. So I was like, oh, I think it came back.
Yep.
So my husband took him to 2 different urgent cares in California, and neither of them would take him. Like one didn't serve children, and the other was already full for the evening. And so then, I'm sure for your American listeners, this is obvious, but as a Canadian who moved to America, now I'm thinking, where can I go? Where does my insurance take me? So
Mhm.
that was a whole like discovery of learning how to figure that out. And so then the next day, Wednesday, was our going to be our resort day. And I spent the morning with him, taking him somewhere, and he got some medicine. And so then the rest of the trip ended up being one parent staying with him in the hotel because he was kind of sick and just didn't have the energy to go anywhere, and the other parent getting alone time with the girls. So that was different. It was still fun to have alone time, but because the first 2 days it was busy, we're like, oh, we're here 5 days. Like we'll just not be in the parks because it's so busy. We'll enjoy the resort. And then it all kind of turned on us because we couldn't have family time. And then California had a really bad storm the last 2 nights with flash flood warnings. So they canceled the parades and all the shows.
Mhm.
And we ended up not going into the park Friday either. So I actually still have park tickets like on my phone because we just couldn't go anywhere. So it kind of changed, but there was still fun to be had.
Yeah, it's one of those things, you never think that's obviously you never want that to happen. You never think
Yeah.
it will happen to your trip when you're planning it, even when you're heading down, but it
Yeah.
it does happen occasionally. And we've been doing the show for almost 2,300 episodes, and we've had this come up. But here's kind of the ironic thing, which is in a irony in a good way, is that
Mhm.
later on down the road, what I've heard from a lot of folks that have gone to these on these trips where that has happened, where the
Mhm.
parents have had to kind of divide and conquer. One stays back with the sick child, and they watch resort TV or
Yeah.
do stuff whatever they can in the room while the child kind of recuperates and rests up, and the
Mhm.
other parent takes the kids. Is that they say that opportunity might not have ever presented itself where they got a little one-on-one time with the kids, or
Yeah.
I mean,
I
I guess
think
you gotta
it's
kind of
true.
try
Like,
to see it, the best you can. It
yeah.
presents itself in a unique way.
Yeah, I had a day with my son and we watched a lot of Bluey, which is like the best children's show.
I've heard that. I've never seen it, but I've
It's
heard.
amazing. My husband says it's his new favorite show,
Oh,
like all up.
man.
He's like, I love Bluey because that's what he spent most of his trip doing as well. And then my son wanted to have a bath, and it was so cute. Like he was so excited, like bath in the hotel. Like these little things are so exciting. And then my daughters and I Thursday we decided to do we did a 13-hour day in the park. We were like, we're just going for it because we didn't have the toddler
Yeah,
to worry about and
right.
they could handle it. And so although my daughter, the younger one, really started fading that night, but she had chosen not to have a nap. So her big sister and I were like, we are going to have pretty much zero empathy for you. This is your fault. Like you're coming with us. So we dragged her around. But that was really neat and not something we would have got to do. So there were definitely fun parts. And we actually met up with another family one of the days just because it was spring break. Friends from our hometown were also going there, and we got a day with them. So all the big kids got a day with their friends to do big kid things, and that was neat.
That's super cool. And and your daughters will probably remember that crazy, super long,
Sure
like
they will.
driving. Mama was killed just trying to get on, 7 rides. But I mean, that'll be a story they tell in, like in college. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That opportunity wouldn't have come around, so it's
No. Yeah.
it's sad, but it does present opportunity.
For sure. Yeah. And one of my other favorite photos. So while the girls had their day with daddy in the park riding Splash Mountain in 54-degree weather, I took my kiddo down to get some Dole Whip from Tangaroa Terrace. And I have a picture of him like in a storm with his hood up, happily eating his ice creams. When you're a little sick, like ice cream feels so good. And so that was definitely a highlight as well.
I think I need a little ice cream after the show because I got a little scratchy throat.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
really
You
felt that.
need some ice cream. It's medical.
I love it. Well, so we have about 5-10 minutes left, but give us kind of maybe a couple more stories from there. I know the weather kind of churned. You had this bad situation, but any other highlights from the trip or just lessons learned? I mean, because you had a
Yeah.
lot of unexpected things pop up during this trip, but of course you're a good Disney fan and you make the most of it.
I have other kind of funny, we have a few other little stories. So one of the days when we decided to leave the park because it was busy and have a pool day, right when we arrived at the pool, no one was in it. And we're like, this is perfect. We had the pool to ourselves. And then we like buzzed in and the lifeguard informed us the pool was empty because someone had a magical bowel movement in the pool.
Oh,
So
yeah,
we had
that's
never
not
experienced
cool.
that. And that was pretty funny as a family. I think this was one of those trips that had a lot of like comedy of errors ideas.
Yeah, you
And
were having some bad luck. It's
yeah,
just
it was kind of, and it reminded me of, I don't know if your kids read the Berenstain Bears, but
yes.
we did, and we had the Berenstain Bears Too Much Vacation, where everything goes wrong, everything Papa planned goes wrong, and the book ends with them looking at their photo book years later and just howling and remembering that trip. And so I think even in the moment, thankfully, because the Berenstain Bears are so wise, I thought of that and I was like, we're really going to enjoy that. Like someday this will be hilarious. Like, and so we kind of got a little bit of that in the moment. So that was fun. Another sort of random highlight was when my husband took my son to go to urgent care. I guess maybe he found himself in not the greatest part of town and none of the lifts wanted to come pick him up and take him back to the hotel. So he was befriending a mom and her 17-year-old who were also there to get stitches. And they offered him a ride back to the hotel. And he said, my son was like cracking them up. And the 17-year-old asked the mom, he said, man, this kid's great. When can I have a kid?
Oh, no.
And so
That's exactly what you want to hear from your 17-year-old.
yeah, I think just the like the sweetness of like people helping out, vacationers, and
That's
that I
sweet.
really loved that, like another parent at urgent care helping him out. That was special. We saw a celebrity. We had a celebrity sighting. It
Oh,
is
yeah.
maybe not that exciting to most people, but I love Mighty Ducks, and Disney Plus has the new Mighty Ducks Game Changers, and there's a character on that who's the assistant to the coach, and she's like a funny comedian, and she was staying at the hotel as well, so we got a picture with her. She was very kind. That was cool. And we got to ride Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, which had
Yeah.
just opened, so I was like, we're like Disney like influencers.
Yeah,
So
you got
that
make
was
sure,
another
like, if
highlight.
you're there the first week, you gotta take your phone, even if you're not, you just gotta be like,
Yeah, I know. I was like, look at this. And I'd been watching the video, so I was showing them the stuff from the queue, and that was really fun. And then because the park was so empty, there was a moment as well when Haunted Mansion had a 13-minute wait. Do you know about the 13-minute wait?
Yeah, exactly. That's how they do that at World too.
Yes. And so
13
I took a
countdown.
screenshot of that because I was like, man, all this cool stuff is happening. So it was sort of it was definitely a different kind of trip, but it was really fun. And I think the people on this podcast can probably, I was thinking to myself, man, if this was like our life savings to come one time, I would probably feel
Right.
discouraged. But we will be back, and we come a lot, and we feel comfortable. Even if we're just hanging out in the hotel, that's like a nice time for us. So we still did really enjoy it. Yeah. So it was a very different but very fun trip.
And it's all about your attitude. The thing is you can get, the first shoe can fall and you can get in a bad place, right? And then you can kind of find any other negative thing and just kind of compound, and just really get to a bad place really quickly. Or you
Yeah.
can say, how lucky am I to be at the Disneyland Hotel with
Yeah.
my family who is 80% healthy.
Yes.
couple bad ears.
Pretty much fine. Yeah.
And a fever. But we're gonna make the best of it. We're gonna have a good time. We're gonna get to go do some park stuff. We're gonna swim. We're gonna have ice cream. I mean, the
Yeah.
thing is, I think for the most part, and this is what I love about our podcast, is that Disney fans are pretty much very optimistic folks, and we believe in the magic.
Yeah.
You got to have a certain mindset to really enjoy Disney the way
Yeah.
we do to be listening to podcasts. And I think you have to. It's what you make of it, and sometimes it's not gonna be perfect, but you can make the best of it. And it sounds like that's what you guys did, and you made some good memories.
Yeah, and a lesson I learned is that I think the parent, especially the mom, really sets the tone, because
yeah.
I was stressed the first day, and I was like, oh no, I'm the one who plans the trip, right? I'm the one who's up at midnight trying to make the ADR and like doing all the things. So when things started to go wrong, I was quickly like, oh no, like the trip I planned is going to be ruined. It was so much work. Like I kind of started to spin, and my kids were like, mommy, you're supposed to be happy. What's wrong? And then they were just like downhill from there. And so as soon as I kind of got my attitude adjusted, I think that really helped everyone have a lot more fun and just go with the flow. And your show had taught us, like, don't have one thing, or if this one thing doesn't happen, the trip's going to be terrible, because like that's just not reasonable. And Disney has lines and heat, and like there's things that might not go great, but that's all part of the fun. Like in line, we played, the heads up game, or, got to talk to them about school or things like that. So yeah, I definitely think the attitude, and especially the parents' attitude, if you can snap yourself out of it, it can be very helpful for everyone involved.
It's so hard, but you just have to do it, right? Because
Yeah.
you can either make the rest of the trip awesome, or you can make the rest of the trip
Yeah.
miserable.
Exactly.
Everything's a mindset. I'm very into like the sports mentality stuff. And
Yeah.
you brought that heads up game. I just got to tell the story. Is it again another parent story?
Yes.
So I thought I was hacked the other day, because I know you work in technology, a big technology company. I thought I was hacked my Apple account. So somebody charged heads up game to my Apple ID. And so I was like doing this, research. Like I know I didn't buy the adult version. So like it's not like the Disney version. I guess there's different versions. I'm like, I know I didn't buy that.
Yes.
So we go and watch Paige's basketball team up in Chicago this past weekend while we're up there. Mallory's cheering, and they have their last home game. So we go to the game, we're cheering, woo, woo. Halftime, they put this thing on the Jumbotron, and they do this package where the basketball team is like the two girls are like going back and forth playing the game on the Jumbotron. I'm like,
Paige,
she got it with my Apple ID, and I've been trying to figure. I thought I was awesome, changing passwords.
Oh
That's what kids do to you, even when they're 26. I'm like,
that's so funny.
when you said that, I'm like, oh yeah. Here's the lesson in that: buy the heads up game preemptively before
Oh,
Disney,
yeah.
because especially the Disney version, it can
Yes.
save you in a line. It saved
Yeah.
us in the Soarin' line at Walt
Oh,
Disney World.
yeah, yeah. And we did it free. We just played the free version of Animals, and sometimes it didn't work this time, but sometimes they'll give you the Disney version free while you're in the park, just while you're in the park. And so that's really fun. And Soarin', I didn't mention Soarin', but we did that, and my son, it was the first time he was tall enough to ride it. And he keeps asking, "Can we fly around the world again, mommy?" Like that was his favorite. And it just totally melted my heart. He loved that one. So that was pretty amazing. Soarin'
That's
is
awesome.
great. Yeah.
Love it, because Soarin's one of my favorites too. I can't wait. This is gonna be so fun. I'm glad we get to cruise together. We're gonna have so much fun in July.
Yes,
It's gonna be here
I'm
before
so
we know it.
excited.
And
Yeah.
well, Jenna, hey, thanks for making this Monday awesome. It was great to take a trip to Disneyland. We've learned a lot, and
Yeah.
we got to have fun. We got to hang
Yeah.
out and talk about ice cream day, which I
Yes. Thank you for
love
having
that.
me.
All right, well, hey, have a good one, and we'll talk after the cruise. And I can't wait to hear what the kids think of everything, because
Yes.
we're gonna be blown away by Walt Disney World. It's gonna be awesome.
Oh, I'm so excited.
All right, don't forget our show brought to you by the Magic for Less Travel. Check them out today for all your Disney trip planning needs. The agents are standing by right now over at themagicforless.com. Please also use our Amazon affiliate link when you shop online. That one extra click supports everything we do. It's beourguestpodcast.com/Amazon. And a sincere thank you to the patrons of the Be Our Guest Podcast. You make all these shows possible. And our patrons get that bonus show called Mike in the Midwest every week. If you'd like to join us, we'd sure love to have you. Come on over, patreon.com/Be Our Guest Podcast. Give me a follow on the social media so you can keep up with everything we're doing. It's Be Our Guest Mike on Instagram and Twitter. And of course, we'll have a live call-in show this Sunday night, 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Central. Give us a call. Let's talk Disney. You can be a part of the show right away. Join us on Facebook and YouTube. All right, time to get out of here and let's get on with your Monday. Let's make this week awesome. And of course, we'll be back again on Wednesday with more of your listener questions. So until we get back together again, for Jenna, I'm Mike, wishing you a great Monday. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you real soon. We made it.
Woohoo!
Let me ask you a question. Did you guys fly into LAX?
No, we flew into Ontario this time and flew out of LAX. Normally we fly into
We flew into Long Beach.
SNA. Yeah. Yeah, the small airports. They're so much better. John Wayne.
So when you went, you flew out of LAX. So you went from Disneyland Hotel to LAX. That's what I need to know. How long does it take to get from Disneyland Hotel, do you think, to LAX? Like, because I need to know like what time to leave the hotel to get to the airport.
It was like 45, 50 minutes. But I texted my friend who lives there. She works for Disney, actually. Oh, that's why we stay at the Disneyland Hotel. I should have said that, because we get 40% off.
I know that. I got my travel agent rate list.
Yeah. When I was like, we've been there 4 times, I'm like, I really should have caveated that. We're not wealthy people. But anyways, I said, oh, how long? Yeah, how early should we leave? And she's like, well, it's raining. So either no one will be on the road and it'll take 45 minutes, or traffic will be bad and it'll take 2 hours. And I was like, that's a flipping huge window.
I know,
so
seriously.
When you wake up, I just started checking immediately, like, when does Lyft say I'll get there, and then planned accordingly, because
because the Lyft app will tell you, right? Like, think about that, because I don't take like, I only do it at Walt Disney World. Take like Uber.
Exactly.
So, because I have a 6 a.m. flight coming home, and so I'm gonna have to leave.
There shouldn't be any traffic then. I think it was about 45 minutes without any traffic.
So you think like if I leave the hotel like at 3, I would be good, or 2?
Yeah. Probably 3.
We've never flown in a big airport like that, because we have a small airport in St. Louis.
Yeah,
so.
I was quite amazed at how efficient the LAX airport was, because everyone's like, ew, LAX, you don't want to go there. But I think it would be a nightmare maybe if you had to like have a connecting flight within it, because it's so big.
Yeah.
But when you're flying out, you just go to the correct terminal. So you're not like, having to shuttle between the terminals. And then the security was like a breeze, just really efficient. They knew what they were doing. So I don't know. I probably leaving at 3.
Yeah, I just kind of want to see it. I've never seen it. Like, my dad works for the Rams, so he always talks about, it's where he flies into. And like,
it was big.
Long Beach, because it was so tiny. Like, we pulled the steps out right there. I mean, you got off the plane outside. It was unbelievable. I was like, this is weird. I love it. I was like, it's like in a movie or something.
Yeah.
But that was the opposite. But I just wanted, like, I've seen the art. Like, I actually, with my sixth grade students, I studied the architect who designed the LAX airport.
Oh, wow.
And, just like a little unit. But I've never seen it in person, so I kind of want to see it just once. And Disney's like giving me a lift from there and back. So
perfect. Yeah.
Go for it. So
when I was there in October for my mommy trip, I flew out of Burbank, and that was cool. Hollywood Airport. Because it's in all the movies. Now I see it in movies, and I'm like, hey, I was there. It's what they use when they're like filming stuff. So that was cool. Yeah.
I want to try them all, but yeah, I got to try. I want to try the big one.
Yeah.
I'm by myself, so we'll see.
Just more excuses to go to Disneyland, I guess. I will see you for the cruise, but I'm going to Springtime Surprise. So I don't know if,
I'll see you, next month. I didn't even think
yeah,
about that.
I
guess
feel bad, I'm not bringing my family, so it'll be my kids' first trip in the summer, and I feel kind of funny going there for the first time without them. I'm gonna be like, what am I doing here? But yeah, I'll be there.
The kids probably wouldn't enjoy a race weekend. They're crazy getting up at
No, I'm sure they wouldn't.
It's
If you hear of any other like ladies going solo, I booked all of my reservations for like 2 or 3 people, hoping I would make friends. So, but I didn't want to post in the Be Our Guest Facebook page because there's like thousands of people. I was like, I don't know if I want to say, hey, I'm a solo female. Like, you have a daughter. It's like,
I wouldn't either.
Yeah.
Me too. Yeah, I'll see. Because I don't know. I gotta see who's going and not, because I haven't been paying close attention to that. And the way my back is, it better get better. Because I'm worried about getting up the steps after the show. But yeah, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
It's only 10 miles. I keep telling myself only 10 miles.
I know, right? We can do it. Although I took my kids for a 5K this weekend, and it felt really long with them on foot because they were complaining. And as they complained, I'm like, actually, yeah, it is kind of long now that you're complaining. Like,
well, yeah, 5 kids with kids is like a full marathon. I mean,
yeah. And I posted in the Be Our Guest group, and people were like, oh, what a great core memory for the children. And I was like, I think I did make a core memory of mommy being a jerk. Because
you're like, my core memory is they're never coming with me ever again.
Yeah, and they won't want to either, because I was like, come on, let's do another jog segment, and they were like, mommy. I was like,
I did the Dopey page, and that was the last time we ran together. So.
I can't imagine. That's amazing.
2017. We have not run together since that full marathon, because like if we get swept, you are going to be in so much trouble. And Scott too. Scott's like, I think I broke my shin. I'm like, okay, you were mile 18 of the Dopey. I'm going to cut that thing off. You have 2 legs. You're going to finish with 1.5. Let's go, bro. I'm like, they got the biofreeze and all these medical tents. Every time you go by, we're slathering it on, and we did. He had a stress fracture. He went home. Yeah, he was in a boot. Then I felt bad because then he sent me a picture. I didn't know. He sent me a picture the next day after he went to the doctor of all his 6 medals, like hanging on this boot. I was like, oh, God. I made him like go 6 miles on a stress fracture, and I was just like biofreeze is gonna matter.
Oh no. It's so funny when you push someone like that. I did that one time to my husband. He was driving me crazy. He kept sighing. He kept going, and I was like, what is wrong with you? He did it for 3 days. And he was like, I don't know, I guess I'm just like lazy lately. And I was like, well, you're driving me insane. And so I left and I went to the gym, and I texted my girlfriends to be like, oh, my husband, and who's a wonderful man. And one of them is a nurse. And they were like, maybe he should go to the doctor. And I was like, oh, okay. And when I got home, he had showered, and he came to the door, and he was like, okay, I'm better now. I'm not going to be lazy anymore. And I was like, well, they said you should go to the doctor. And so he went down the street to the urgent care. He texted me a photo with the oxygen in his nose in an ambulance. He had pneumonia, and he was being shipped to the hospital. And I had been like, you lazy.
That'd be me though. Like I'm like, I think I can. I'd collapse walking to the treadmill.
He wasn't saying he was sick. He was like, I don't know. I think I'm just a lazy kind of person. And I was like, well, stop it, because we've got 2 little children, and it's annoying me. And then I get this photo of him being rushed to the hospital. It's like, oh,
can I get a day off? I'm in the ambulance. Like,
yeah, exactly. I was like, read that one wrong.
One day. I've been there. Totally get it. Well, hey, I appreciate your time. I know you're at work. I'll keep you from your family, but yeah, we'll see you next month. That'll be fun. So,
great. Okay,
all right, hope your back feels better, by the way.
Oh yeah, you too. We'll be there. We'll get it.
I'll see you later.
Bye.